Today we're going to talk about part 1 of equations with rational numbers. The first thing we're going to work with is equations that involve fractions. And to solve an equation with a variable on both sides that involves fractions, we want to start by eliminating the fractions from the equation itself. So our equation is 7/10 n plus 3/2 equals 3/5 n plus 2. And I see that I have 3 different fractions. I have a denominator of 10, a denominator of 2, and a denominator of 5. Now the first thing I want to do is I want to find the least common multiple of these 3 denominators. So when I look at these, I do see that 2 goes in the 10 and 5 goes in the 10. So that's telling me that the least common multiple that each of these would have would be 10. And I'm going to rewrite this problem out so it's a little easier to see. So we're going to take 10 times both expressions. So 10 times 7/10 n plus 3/2 is equal to 10 times 3/5 n plus 2. Now what I'm going to do from this is I'm going to distribute the 10. So I'm going to take 10 times 7/10 n plus 10 times my 3/2 equals 10 times my 3/5 n and my 10 times 2. So when I look at each one of these individually, what I can do is I can simplify these down by finding what will simplify these two. Well, they're both 10, so I can divide both by 10, and that gives me 1. So 1 times 7 is 7n. This one, I'm going to change my color here. I have 10 and a 2. I know that 2 goes into both, so I'm going to divide 2 by 2, gives me 1, and 10 divided by 2 gives me 5, and then 5 times 3 is 15. Other side of the equal sign, I'm taking 10 times 3/5 n. I'm going to simplify by dividing both by 5, and I get 2 times 3, so I get 6n. Can't forget the n. And then 10 times 2 is 20. So there we are in our expression or equation, and we have no fractions. So what we've done by multiplying by the least common denominator or multiple of the denominators is we've removed the fractions and just made them whole numbers. Now that I've done that, I can decide how I want to solve. Again, the variables on both sides of the equal sign. So I get to decide if I want the n's on the left or the right. If I subtract 7n from both, this becomes a negative n. If I subtract 6n from both, this becomes a positive n. So that's the route I'm going to go. So I'm going to subtract 6n. And so that becomes n plus 15 equals 20. Subtract 15. N is by itself. 15 from 20 is 5. So we know that n is equal to 5. Okay? So let's try this your turn. I have 1/7 k minus 6 is equal to 3/7 k plus 4. I'm looking for my least common multiple that's going to clear my fractions. My least common multiple in this case would be 7. So I'm going to take 7 times 1/7 k. I think I'm going to rewrite that. I'm going to take 7 times 1/7 k minus 7 times 6 equals 7 times 3/7 k plus 7 times 4. So if I take and multiply or simplify here, I get 1, so I have k, minus 7 times 6, which is 42. If I simplify here, 7 isn't simplify out to 1, and then I have 3k, and 7 times 4 is 28, so plus 28. And now I have to decide which side I want my variable on. Do I want it on the left or do I want it on the right? If I subtract k from both sides, this becomes a positive 2k. If I subtract 3k from both sides, this becomes a negative 2k. Either way works just fine. We'll get the same answer. I choose to subtract 1k from each side. That's gone. I have negative 42. This becomes negative because this is 0. 0 minus 42 is negative 42. And that equals 2k, because 3k minus 1k is 2k, plus 28. Now I'm going to subtract 28 from both sides. And this is going to be subtraction with a negative, so I'm going to change to add the opposite. And this is going to be negative 70 equals 3k, or sorry, 2k. 2k. And divide both sides by 2. And k is going to equal a negative 35. Take a look at number 4. I have 5/6 y plus 1 equals negative 1/2 y plus 1/4. And I need to simplify it so that I can get rid of those fractions. So what would my least common multiple be? Okay, so if you decided that 12 is your least common multiple, that is correct, because 2, 4, and 6 all go into 12 evenly. So I'm going to take my 12 times my 5/6y plus my 12 times 1 equals my 12 times negative 1/2 y plus 12 times 1/4. And now I can simplify. The 12 and the 6 would make 12, 2. 2 times 5 is 10. I get 10y. 12 times 1 is 12, so plus 12. 12 times negative 1/2, if I simplify, 12 becomes 6. 2 becomes 1. 6 times negative 1, y is negative 6y. And 12 times 1/4, 4 would be 1, and this would be 3. 3 times 1 is 3. Now I need to decide which side I want my variable on. If I subtract both sides by 10y, I would get a negative numbered y. If I add 6y to both, I'd get a positive, so I'm going to add 6y to each. And that gives me 16y plus 12 equals 3. Now I'm going to subtract both sides by 12. And that's going to give me negative 9. And that's going to give me 16. I did it again. 16y. Divide both sides by 16. Y is going to equal a negative 9/16. I cannot simplify this, so that's going to be my solution. Okay, if you have any questions, make sure you ask. These 2 questions are going to be in your Edpuzzle. Please take the time to answer the questions. And if you have any questions and need help, let me know. Thank you.